Welcome to Core. It is good to be back together tonight. I will be leading you through a spiritual practice called Lectio Divina. It is simply reading Scripture 3 times and asking God different questions as we read so that we can hear from Him through His Word. So get comfortable and just listen as I walk you through this exercise. Okay, so before I read the first time, I want you to pray this to yourself, and the words are going to be on the screen. Just pray silently to yourself. Lord, open my heart to a word or phrase you want to draw my attention to from this passage. So go ahead and pray that to yourself. And now listen as I read from Matthew 11. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Now just take a few moments to sit in the stillness and reflect on that passage. And now before the second reading, I want you to pray this to yourself. And again, the words will be on the screen. Lord, now draw my attention to what you want to communicate to me specifically from this passage. Go ahead and pray that to yourself. And now, listen as I read. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Now take a few moments to sit in the stillness with that passage. And now again, before we read this third time through that passage, pray this to yourself. The words will be on the screen. Lord, how are you calling me to live differently? Go ahead and pray that to yourself. And now please listen as I read this passage for a final time. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Take a few moments to sit in the stillness with that passage. thank you for doing that Lectio Divina exercise with me. If you'd like, during small group time, maybe share what you heard from the Lord in the stillness. No pressure. Tonight, we're going to hear from my friend Clayton Corver about what freedom truly is and how to live it out.
Whenever we learn a new idea, sometimes we compare it to a light bulb turning on. We have new light to see things in a new way. So I hope today a light bulb turns on for us so we see more clearly. The passage for today is Galatians 5:1. It is for freedom that Christ set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. The hope is that we commit these words to our memories. Let's not call it memorizing. I memorize schoolwork, and after it's no longer useful, I forget it. So to commit something to memory is a slow process. Why? Because you're rewiring your mind. You're changing the way you think. Let's just start with the beginning. It is for freedom that Christ set us free. But what is freedom? We're exploring the story of Caleb, who's part of a community of 1 million or so people who are all wrestling with the same question. I would say that we today in 2022 in the US of A still struggle with the same question. We love freedom, but are we actually free? They had been enslaved for generation after generation. Think about it. Your parents weren't free. Your grandparents weren't free. Your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents. You couldn't name one person who was ever free at any time. Yet they still wrestle with actually being free. Wouldn't it be easier just to go back to what they knew, even if it wasn't good? Have you ever thought the same thing? Most of us would probably think of freedom as the ability to do what we want. You too, have the freedom to choose and don't even think about removing my right to make my own choice. And I won't do that to you until I do. You do you, follow your heart, speak your truth, be true to yourself. As you watch for those words in our world, you'll find it in every party, every movement, and every group. But have you ever considered that thinking of freedom in that way leads to a lack of freedom? We're freed from something, but then we are free to do something. Yes, something that tried to restrict us is gone when we experience that freedom, but what we choose next quite often has the exact same effect on us. Jesus shared this thought with some of the most intelligent, powerful people of his day. He says something like, when something that isn't good is removed from your person, like a habit that's destructive, a relationship that's destructive, or let's be honest, actions motivated by our own selfishness, when that chain is broken and we're free from it, if it's not replaced by something good, that same destructive thing, looking for a new house to dwell in, will go back to where it was and bring more evil with it. And if something didn't replace it, it finds an empty house ready for the taking. Then we find our house is now filled with even more of that destructive thing we want to be freed from. And to get rid of it, to be free, is even harder. Think about it. Did you know that darkness isn't a thing? It's a lack of a thing. You cannot get rid of it or grasp darkness, right? You can't hold it and remove it. How do you get rid of darkness? Turn on the lights. I wonder if Jesus is asking us to focus less on what used to restrict us and rather turn our attention to the light. You were not free. Because of me, Jesus said, you can be free, but you have to fill your house, which is now empty, with good furniture. You have to choose. It is for freedom that Jesus set you free. So Caleb was different than everyone else. He and the people were free, but the future was scary, a little uncertain. So instead of moving into this new home, this new life, they wanted to return to what they knew. And what they knew was terrible. Hundreds of years in slavery to abusive and corrupt people. That choice led to the loss of freedom that they now had. So I'm going to ask of you this week, regardless of the darkness you're now encountering, for a few days, to shift your focus from it. Turn on the lights. Add in new furniture. It's time in these words. Time outside on a walk with good music, or maybe no distractions at all. Time away from the constant comparisons on your phones. Time enjoying the company of people who you love uninterrupted. Then take time to reflect. Am I experiencing more freedom now or less? So perhaps in your group time, would you think about the freedoms you have chosen? or others that you have watched choose? Has it had the opposite effect? Name some of the furniture that you need to throw out and some of the furniture you need to add in. Share it with your group so you have a better chance of actually adding it. It is for freedom, a life with and like Jesus, that He sets you free. Move into that land.